You guys already know that I'm a huge fan of North York as a community, as a neighborhood, and really North York homes, whether it's $4 million detached homes or $550,000 condos, provide buyers with some of the best choices across the city, all the way west from Etobicoke to east to Scarborough to North York, mid to midtown, and down to downtown. So why not do what I've done across this channel, go through some of the best Toronto condo buildings, but North York edition. And this is something a lot of you have asked about. Now, I have touched on some of these buildings before in other videos, so it might be repeat content for some of you. For some of you, it's the first time you're hearing about it. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it. These are the best Toronto condo buildings in my professional opinion as a Toronto realtor in North York. Let's start. And we're gonna start with what every client of mine, every viewer of mine on this channel, every client I've actually bought with, there's a lot of clients I'm thinking of right now, are exhausted, probably nauseous of me talking about because I can't shut up about this building. 25 Adra Grado Way. I'm gonna keep this short because I've talked about this building so much across a lot of my videos, especially the best Toronto condo buildings video. 25 Adra Grado Way, I think provides the best balance of being something that's fresh, sexy, new, located quite well, backing into a ravine, close to the hospital, but built by the best builder and also at the same time has a lot of amenities, great amenities, at the same time managed expertly, and at the same time is very end user friendly. I mean, so few buildings hit on all these cylinders, and 25 Adra Grado Way Scala Condos by Tradell is one of them. Not a perfect building. None of the buildings I will mention on this video are perfect buildings, but and you know, I've had feedback from clients. I've purchased 3 units in this building, sold 1, and I've had feedback from clients in terms of living on the first floor that sometimes noise does travel if your neighbor is noisy. And something very minor, such as the rustic finishes on the balcony barriers are actually rusting a bit, but these are, in the grand scheme of things, when it has everything else under the sun, very minor. So not only is this one of the best Toronto condo buildings in North York, but frankly, one of the best Toronto condo buildings citywide. It is expensive though. It is a premium building, but I think the premium is well worth it. Has some fantastic, amazing, beautiful $2 million units as well in terms of magnificent luxury penthouses. Moving forward, another North York Toronto condo building that I'm a big fan of, have done business in, 17 and 19 Anndale. 17 and 19 Anndale. 17 and 19 Anndale, built by Menkes, provide Toronto condo buyers with more affordable choices than, for instance, 25 Adra Grado Way, but still, you know, pricey per square foot. 17 and 19 Anndale, built by Menkes, are really good buildings. It's fantastically managed. As soon as you walk into the lobby, the high ceilings, the high roof on the lobby, it feels grand, it feels great. And although it is a little bit higher on the tenant side, as opposed to, for instance, 25 Adra Grado Way, the tenants here are very well qualified tenants. The amenities are smaller, but location, some would argue, is better. It's more central. Anndale is just off of Yonge and Sheppard. And really, 1+1 units and 1 units in this building are quite friendly in terms of floor plan. I would probably have to say more so than other buildings. Management is great. Some units are a bit older, have outdated finishes, but that's ultimately aesthetically, but ultimately that's something you can change if you get a discounted price for that unit, because the bones are really good in this building. As I mentioned, I have purchased units in this building for buyers, and my buyers have had nothing but great things to say. Has great resale value, definitely a recommend by Menkes. Next up, another Toronto condo building I love in North York, and it's actually right next to 17 and 19 Anndale. We're talking about 31 and 35 Bales Avenue. Once again, built by Menkes. Menkes is one of my favorite builders, along with Minto, along with Great Golf, along with Shane Bowie. Obviously, they're not Tridel level, but they're really good. And 31 and 35 Bales, although it is a bit older than 17 and 19 Anndale, and obviously 25 Adra Grado Way, it's more affordable as well. Once again, really family friendly. The tenants who are there are really qualified individuals. The demographics overall are very, very nice in terms of the residents. Elevator wait times can be a little bit on the higher end, once again, during rush hours, but that's really most of the complaints I have. To some people's tastes, the hallways might be outdated, some of the units might be outdated, but you cannot replace the bones. The management is great. The build quality is great. It's well run. It's quiet. Location is great. And resale value is also great as well. But something to bring to your attention in this building and the Anndale buildings, the HVAC rooms and units, the HVAC units are in a closet, right? In condo units, the HVAC can either be behind a wall and then that's where you have the metal panel, or they can be like a closet. You open the closet and you see the heater or the furnace. In this building, it's the closeted one where the furnace is behind a closet. That has its pros and cons. Some people prefer the panel, some people prefer the closet, but just to bring to your attention. But nonetheless, Build by Menke's, once again, a reputable builder, great builder, just like the buildings next door. I approve of it, really like it, and it ranks, in my opinion, as one of the best Toronto condo buildings in North York. But you might be thinking, Sam, well, all these buildings you're listing is either at Sheppard and Leslie, or these are kind of south of Sheppard in this little weird like Anndale, Avondale area. Just something on Yonge Street, literally at Yonge Sheppard, Yonge Finch. All right, say no more. Let's start. 503 and 509 Beecroft. Now, there's a huge caveat with these towers. 503 and 509 Beecroft have Kitech plumbing. Kitech plumbing needs to be replaced. Please listen before you comment. If you're willing to do the work in terms of Kitech plumbing and replace the Kitech plumbing, which runs you about 10 to 15K if it's the unit, then these buildings are fantastic. They really are. Once again, the concierge service is great. It's managed well. Barely any elevator wait times. It has some really decent unexposed views to the west. It's really close to Yonge, although the address is Beecroft. And this might be a pro or a con for some people, but the pro is the property management here is very conservative. That means they really protect the owner's interests. On the negative side, that means that they might not give you some benefit of the doubt. Maybe if you park a bike without registering it formally with the building. So they can be a little bit micromanagey, but at the end of the day, they have your best interests in mind. The only other thing I would say about this building is that it definitely is not in the same tier as the buildings I just listed or some of the other buildings I will list. This is probably maybe a tier below all that, but it's still one of the best in North York. And really, the underground parking here can get really cold in the winter, so be mindful of that as well. However, once again, it is really a good building to establish your roots in. A lot of families, a lot of newcomer families, a lot of families with babies in this building. And if you can get a right unit for the right price in this building and do the work in terms of the Kitech plumbing, it might be worth it. Another pair of Toronto condo buildings that will rank as the best, and these guys are probably the best on Yonge Street with the street of Yonge Street address, 5162 Yonge Street and 5168 Yonge Street, the Gibson Square condos, the South Tower and the North Tower. Now, these are pricey buildings. In recent months, in the downturn of the market, they've come down in prices, but they're still selling above $1,000 per square foot. For that $1,000 per square foot, I think really the Bales Avenue and the ones I listed earlier in terms of Anndale suffice as well. But if you really are keen right on Yonge Street and really close to the subway, these are really good options. Once again, it's managed very well, but part of that means that there might be a little bit too conservative. They don't allow food deliveries up. You have to come down to meet the food deliveries. They're doing that for security purposes. For some people, that's a pro, but that's also inconvenient. You have to think about these things. What do you, value more, convenience or the security? And clearly here, with regards to security, they do not lack that whatsoever. These are great. Below ground, you have this little parquet. You have the Aroma across the street of North York Center. Really, location is great. Across that, you have Last Man Square. Anything you can really want. And the lower price points, anywhere $650 and below, you're gonna have miniature units, 550 square feet and below. For 700, 800 square feet, you are spending a little bit more cash. Nonetheless, though, it is worth it. You can't go wrong. Resale value has been proven. And then rental yields in this building are actually fantastic for the investors out there. So yet another great Toronto condo building in North York, one of the best North York buildings in my professional opinion. And speaking of my professional opinion, I am a Toronto real estate agent after all, and a ton of buyers and sellers work with me because of my knowledge of the Toronto condo market citywide and the Toronto real estate market generally speaking. So for any buying, selling, leasing inquiries, please do not hesitate. Get in touch with me. My link is in the bio. Set up a chat, set up a call. Let me see how I can help you. Anyways, let's move on. And as I'm going on, I'm like, there's so many more condos to speak about. I don't think I'll have time, but let's go a little bit faster. Let's go to Bayview Village at Sheppard and Bayview. What condo am I talking about? Am I talking about the one that looks like a ship, the Ark by Daniels? No, I'm not. We'll talk about that later. I'm talking about 676 Sheppard Avenue, 680 Sheppard Avenue, 660 Sheppard Avenue East. Probably the most boutique luxury buildings that you don't know about. These buildings, 660 and 680, don't have any units cheaper than $1 million. To start, you have to enter at $1 million. These buildings were built by Shane Barroy, one of the best boutique builders. They look beautiful. I will put a video up here if I'm not lazy in the post. I'll put a video up here in terms of the aesthetic of it. Luxury to the core, valet service, private elevators, fantastic buildings. And then you have the more affordable of these, the sister building, the little sister, 676 Sheppard Avenue East, which is fantastic as well. Just a complete dream of building 676 Sheppard Avenue East. No elevator wait times, amazingly managed. Everyone it's a community, it's a true community. Everyone knows each other. Matter of fact, the only complaint people have about these buildings, I've had about these buildings, it might be a little bit too boring. It's so quiet, it's so end user friendly that you think you're living in the suburbs. More so for 660 and 680. 676 is a bit more lively. Of course, you know, there's always a risk of being stuck with a bad neighbor. That's always a risk, but I love these buildings, great buildings on Sheppard Avenue East. Sticking to Bayview Village, of course, we have the classic Rean Drive buildings. We're talking about 1 Rean Drive, 3 Rean Drive, and then 2 Rean Drive and 8 Rean Drive. Take a look at here. The NY Towers, the Waldorf, and the Chrysler, they were going for that New York aesthetic, and I think they did a great job. Now, they are a little bit more depreciated. Not that there's no resale value, not that you're gonna lose money, but these are longer hold terms. And the maintenances are a bit high, but they're all inclusive. But on the bright side, they're very affordable, along with the Beecroft ones, the cheapest buildings on this list. And guess what? You're not getting something that's cheap but trash. There's a lot of cheap and trash. Dollarama, cheap and trash. Kijiji, cheap and trash. Amazon Basics, cheap and trash. 36 Lisgar, oh sorry, I mean the condo that shall not be named, cheap and trash. But these buildings are cheap, affordable buildings per square foot that are actually good. That's why these 4 buildings, all the Rean Drive ones, have my vote and confidence as one of the best Toronto condo buildings in North York, this time in Bayview Village. What about West? You might be asking yourself, what about West? Well, when we go to the West, I really like 525 Wilson Avenue. This is another building that I've most recently become acquainted with because I've just purchased a unit in this building from my client, and my client is an end user to say the least. And thus far, she has had nothing but great things to say. 525 Wilson is definitely far superior than its sister building, the newer one, I would say across the street at 31 Tippett. And this is a little bit less central. It's closer to Yorkville. A lot of people would find that as a feature, another bug. But when we think of North York, we generally think of Yonge Sheppard, Yonge Finch, Bayview Sheppard, Leslie, Don Mills, right? We don't really, even Bathurst, but we don't even really think as west as Yorkville. Nonetheless, it is technically North York, and 525 Wilson Avenue is yet another Toronto condo building that I will rank as some of the best buildings in North York. Now let's go a little bit more of a faster paced speed round. Okay, 28 and 30 Harrison Garden. Really like those, really like those. 120 and 130 Harrison Gardens. 120 and 130 Harrison Garden. Like those as well. 16 and 18 Harrison Garden. Like those, but like them a little bit less than the other Harrison Gardens. They're still good. Don't get me wrong. They're still good, but they're a little bit more borderline. And really, that's it for now. I'm sure after I press pause on this video recording, I'd be like, oh my God, how can I forget to talk about this? That always happens. Sometimes I forget. But you know, if I didn't mention a building here, it's either really mid-level building, or it's not good whatsoever. Speaking of that, I'm going to make another video talking about, speaking of that, let me know if you want me to make a video about Toronto condo buildings in North York that I don't like, worst condos in North York. I'll definitely do that if there's enough demand for it. Besides that, feel free to include your questions in the comments. I'll always be responding as fast as I can. Book any calls. My link is in the bio. I'd be happy to assist you in your buying, selling, or leasing inquiries. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, stay tuned, and stay safe. Thank you.